It's time for Media Watch. James Credence here in the studio. James, starting with Syria, the conflict, the media, of course, finding it difficult to cover with any real accuracy. We have this problem here at France 24 because we can't check the veracity of the facts that come out and indeed the sources of many of the videos that come out. It's one of the problems we have because there's a lack of reporters on the ground and, of course, all media outlets relying on amateur footage.
That's right. Interesting piece, Mark, in Foreign Policy on their website by Stephen Starr. Now, he's a journalist. He was in Syria up until February. He had spent 11 months there in the town of Jadia Artuz. Now, he said he tried to get articles printed on a number of occasions talking about how the Assad regime or the Assad government was allowing protests to happen in some parts of the city, but not in others. So protests were happening and were being allowed to happen. Now, he said he found it difficult to get those articles published. He had the impression that it didn't fall neatly into the narrative of Assad is quashing violently every single protest that happens. So he thought, you know, that this narrative had emerged and his stories weren't matching that.
So he's saying that the West was actually sort of, in its own way, manipulating the truth.
Or simplifying it, certainly. And he thinks that amateur footage is a part of that because there aren't that many reporters on the ground. If they are there, they're either embedded with Assad's people or they're embedded with the rebels, so they're getting a skewed picture. And the result is you've got amateur footage, such as this one, shot in April, 25th of April, and put online by Associated Press. There's lots of these pictures out there. And the tagline, or the caption is, images purportedly showing the aftermath of clashes between police and presumed demonstrators in Isra, Syria. So again, the agencies always have to kind of qualify the images they're showing because we don't know. Now, what he says in this article is there's an over-reliance on these images because of the complexity of the conflict and the obstacles faced by reporters on the ground. They lack the nuance afforded by context, and reporters are the ones who can give the context of the images they shot. And as a result, you get a very black and white picture and the possibility that these pictures can be manipulated by, you know, activists who want to kind of put out propaganda. And the dates can be wrong a lot of the time. There were pictures put out by Reuters earlier this month in, I think there were pictures shot in Tremza near Hama, supposedly shot in early July. Reuters very quickly withdrew those pictures saying, sorry guys, they were actually shot in February.
Okay, context, of course, what we try to apply and try to show here in France 24 when we use this footage, but of course we face the same difficulties that everybody else does too. Okay, moving on to something different, definitely. Right. Cheese. Yeah. At the Elysee Palace, which is where the president lives here in Paris. And cheese is making a return. I didn't know it had been taken off the menu.
Well, let's take a look at this article. It's on RTL. Now, you see there François Hollande with a little glass of vino, right? Now, the thing is, he likes wine and he likes cheese. Nicolas Sarkozy didn't really drink alcohol, so he didn't like wine. I knew that, but I didn't know he also didn't like cheese, which isn't very stereotypically French in any case.
Not at all, is it?
Right. Now, let's take a look at this guy. His name is Bernard Vaucion. He has been the chef cuisinier at the Elysee for 35 years. They're saying 40 there.
So he's been there all that time, and there've been so many different presidents. So
that's right.
He really knows what the power is behind the cheese.
This is it.
There we go.
And he could easily poison one of them if he wanted. So they're talking about.
I'm sure he wouldn't.
Now he's saying that il se réjouit. He is joyful at the reintroduction of cheese at the Elysee. He's delighted about this. Loves it. And but apparently Hollande doesn't like artichokes. So they're off the menu.
Well, I can understand that. Artichokes are a little bit sort of nondescript. I don't get much of them. But cheese, though, I love. And I find, if I have red wine, I can eat as much cheese as you can throw at me. But if there's no red wine, I can't do it. Simple as that. So the two go together.
Go together quite well. Maybe that's why Sarkozy didn't like both, because he didn't like one. Therefore, he didn't like either.
That is a nail, and you just hit it on the head. James Credence. Okay, finally, we've had electronic mail, the electronic card. Now we have the electronic kiss. James will explain.
Right. It's called a Kissinger, not to be confused with Henry. Right? Nothing to do with Henry Kissinger. And this is a device produced by a robotics professor in Singapore. We have pictures of it here. The idea is, like a webcam, you plug it in with your USB key and you send a long distance smooch.
So the lady is now kissing the
the silicone lips of this Kissinger.
The gentleman's doing the same thing, and this is actually mimicking what they are now doing.
Right, well, so the creators would have us believe anyway. There are issues transmitting the force and pressure of the kiss, and also the shape of the lip, apparently.
Okay, so they're in different parts of the world, and they can actually feel the pressure of one another's lips on that thing.
I'm not convinced. I'm definitely not convinced. And we were saying earlier, could a bit of cheese come out, or a bit of, maybe even a tongue.
Nice linking of the stories. I like it. It's very good. Very good. Obviously, no tongues, you say.
I doubt it. I think that would be quite. I think you'd be more disturbed by that, wouldn't you? If you saw a tongue coming.
Horrific stuff.
You'd plug it out pretty quickly.
James, I think we better leave it there before it goes any further.
The Henry
get arrested. Thank you. James Creedon with Media Watch. Thank you very much indeed, sir.